When you receive an order, you go. We beat up many of their prospects and go into fights in back alleys. Sometimes we will break down a door, throw fire inside, and ride away.
Hi, welcome to Stand Up Speak Up. I'm your host, Carla Stevens Tolstoy. Now, normally when you tune into our podcast, Joel would introduce me and I do the interviews. But today we're going to switch it up. This time, I'm the one introducing Drew Penner, a producer who has worked on past episodes for Stand Up Speak Up, such as The Beauty of Harm Reduction, A Missing Shoe, the Delane Copeland story, and now this one. What you're about to hear is the true story of one man's journey from an abusive childhood to his years as a biker gang member to finding peace in the wilderness of British Columbia. This story, like many of our episodes, is a graphic but honest portrayal. The emotions I felt when hearing his story were sadness, frustration, confusion, anger, and compassion. I look forward to hearing your reactions.
Hi guys, it's Drew. Thanks for having me back, Carla. I love how you've created a platform through Stand Up Speak Up to share unique stories that chart pathways through difficult terrain. So, when a guy I met this summer started to open up to me about his dark past and his desire to help kids avoid something similar, I immediately thought of this podcast. Over the past several months, we've been working with him to tell his story, to get a glimpse inside a world that's usually hidden. North American biker gangs. In some ways, it was tough to listen to him describe the pain he's felt in life and some of the choices he's made I disagree with. This kid from Quebec, we've agreed to protect his identity, grew up to be strong and violent. Now, he's beginning again outside of organized crime. He's still learning to read and speak English, so we got a voice actor to portray his own words. I thought it was important to put them out there to help us better understand what leads someone into a life of crime and to hear what it feels like to leave and start over. Thanks for tuning in.
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want to pretend it wasn't a lot of fun. But I want to tell the real story of how empty I found that life to be. And I want to tell you why I left. Part 1. My story begins in a dysfunctional family in Quebec. My dad was not around and my mother worked as an exotic dancer. All her life was one big struggle. She was physically and sexually abused growing up, so she didn't have a good example of how to give me a better life. She would take me to the strip club and get the other dancers to look after me backstage. The first time I was placed in government child protection, I was only 5. I was put with a really nice family on a beautiful island with colorful houses and beaches that had many different types of sand. It was a really peaceful time for me. The family I was living with wanted to adopt me, but my mom said no. I was excited when I got to move back to live with my mom after a year, but it didn't last. My mom tried to commit suicide and I was put back into the government care system. This time, I was not as lucky. One family I lived with was okay, but the next one was like a horror show. There were about 15 of us children living together. The food was terrible. It was just pasta, vegetable, and a teeny little bit of beef, all covered in soy sauce. That's what we ate every day. We were not allowed to sit on the furniture. We had to sit on the floor. And if we were found talking to each other, we would get smacked. But that was not the worst part. The woman who looked after us was really creepy. I saw her touch some of the kids inappropriately. At night, she would come into the room where we slept, swinging a broom around like a maniac. She even tried to touch me, but I fought back. But she beat me many times, smacked me right across the face. One night, the autistic boy who liked puzzles told us to get up. He said he had set the house on fire and we needed to leave. We followed the boy outside. He still had a puzzle under his arm. We watched the kitchen go up in flames. The firefighters and police came. They found out about the terrible conditions at the house. Because of the fire, I didn't have to stay with the creepy woman anymore. But the solution was not much better. They sent me away to a minimum security facility for youth. I was always fighting and breaking things, and I kept finding new ways to run away. So I was moved to the maximum security part of the facility. It was a crazy place, a jungle. One of the other kids who heard voices tried to cut my throat with a toothbrush. He had sharpened it by scraping it along the walls. I was in the toilet stall when he jumped over the wall. I grabbed his t-shirt just in time and he missed my neck. I still have a scar where the plastic toothbrush blade cut me.
Okay, so Drew, you met this guy. What would you like me to call him? Like motorcycle guy? What is he? Biker guy?
Just our anonymous motorcycle gangster, I guess.
Okay, so our anonymous motorcycle gangster. How did this story come about? He wants to live under the radar. He doesn't want anybody to know who he is. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it was very important for our subject to tell his story in a very open and honest way. But in order to do that, he felt it was important that we not reveal his name. I guess there's certain people out there that, if they found out who he was, it might not bode very well for him. But at the same time, he did have a message that he wanted to share with the young generation, whether it was people who are caught up in a criminal life or people who might not understand the dynamics of the darker elements of our society, and he wanted to get that information out there. So we've decided to protect his identity, but at the same time, we have made sure to verify certain aspects of his story are true.
How can you verify stories? I mean, it really is just him telling us his life story.
So we've seen some photos and spoken with some other former associates that have confirmed elements of the story. Obviously, there's only so much that you can verify when it comes to criminal enterprises and underground activity, and that's not really the point of the story so much as it is to really tell you what it was like for someone who's gone through that and thought they'd find something in this criminal life and ended up trying to move out the other side at the end of the day.
How would you describe his energy and how he held himself?
He really seemed quite positive. He really seemed like he'd finally found something. And that's what drew me to this guy in the first place. As a journalist who was living in British Columbia at the time, I ran into an individual who had the same kind of hope that you see in someone exploring a new frontier, someone that's pushing their own boundaries and just happy to be safe. You really got that sense that almost like you see with people that have left their family behind or abusive situations and they're exploring a new world and they need help from people and they need to teach themselves a variety of new skills, but at the same time just having that opportunity is like a gift. I mean, it's so refreshing to see, and so I wanted to find out what this guy's story was.
Part 2. When I turned 16, my social worker decided to move me into an apartment so they could put another kid in the prison-like facility where I was living. I saw it as a big opportunity. I got a job washing dishes at a breakfast place, but I didn't like it very much. I started selling weed out of my apartment, breaking into houses and stealing stuff. My whole life, I wished I could be part of a real family. I was mad at the world, and I could see people coming into the restaurant with beautiful clothes and new cell phone. I wanted a new life. I wanted money too. Then one day, a guy I was selling drugs with had sex with a teenage girl and got her pregnant. At this moment, I had an idea. I knew the girl's uncle was a big criminal who worked out of a nightclub. I wondered if I did a little job for him, would he open doors for me? Nobody sent me a message. No one came to see me to tell me what to do. I just picked up a baseball bat and beat the shit out of my friend. I knew this would get the guy's attention. Afterward, I went to the nightclub to see her uncle. He just gave me a bottle of Jack Daniels at the bar and then left. I think, this is all I get? Okay. But at the end of the night, he came back and said to me, "Do you want a job?" He asked if I wanted to be a bouncer at the club. I was young and I figured, why not? I prefer working as a bouncer to cleaning dishes. I worked as a bouncer at the club for a few months, but eventually, he gave me a second job. He ran a prostitution ring and needed someone to make sure there weren't any problems. He put with a driver and I would watch the girls. He gave me a bulletproof jacket, hitman-style leather gloves, and a kind of nightstick that cops carry. They are not your friends. They are not your daughter, he would say about the girls. They are just workers. So don't be chill with the girls. One day, a young girl got in the car and started coloring with pencil crayons. She was maybe only 12 years old and she was already working for him. She tried to show me the drawing, but I didn't even want to look at the piece of paper. I felt the tears start to well up in my eyes. I felt bad because it's an ugly situation. I wasn't crying, but inside, I was shaking. At this time in my life, I'm down with many fucking jobs. I don't mind beating up, or stabbing, or even killing a person. But this job is so nasty. It's fucking sick. I hate this fucking moment of my life. But nobody says no to this guy. My boss showed me pictures of mass killings he bragged about taking part in back in the country where he came from. So when he asked me to watch the girls, and many boys too, it didn't matter if they were 18, 21, 22, or 12. This guy gives you a job, you do this job. I did this job because I knew it gave me a better job after. He sold guns and ammo. He even made ammo. Eventually, I got to help. I like that job a lot. All young guys like guns. I tried to search for my dad many times, but I never found him. In my new criminal life, I started to feel powerful. My boss bought me an expensive BMX bike, a cell phone, and fancy new clothes. But I'm not stupid. He would say to me, "Oh son, I love you. You have a family now." That was exactly what I wanted to hear. But even at this moment I knew, he's buying me lots of things. But he's also buying me. One day he told me about a guy who had a debt with him of $25,000. "Cut a piece of this guy," he said. I was not sure what to do, but I have seen many movies. I took a hammer and a kitchen knife and cut off both of his thumbs. It was easier than I expected. I don't think I even needed to use a hammer. Afterwards, I smoked heroin and drew a Barbie and a candle on the thumbs and played with them on his stomach. One time, he wanted me to set fire to a business. "Keep anything you want," he said. "Have fun." It was a little fun. I made thousands of dollars from the weed my boss would sell me for really cheap. It's how I paid for my first escort. I flipped open the newspaper and chose a Russian girl from the back pages. That was the first of many. I would also get paid for collecting money. For a debt of 1,500, I'd get to keep 30 or 40%, so like 400 to 600. One day the guy asked me, "Est-ce que tu es confortable de tuer quelqu'un? Would you be okay with killing someone?" I knew this guy will never stop. He always wanted more. So I packed my stuff and left.
Support for this podcast comes from Stand Up Speak Up Fashion. Do you have something to say but don't want to be too preachy? Want to take a stand with all the little decisions you make, including what you wear? Head on over to standupspeakupfashion.com to check out our varied collections that are not only made ethically, but can also be used as tools to spark conversations on subjects you care about. Tell people how you really feel through your threads.
Part 3. I tracked down my mom in a little redneck village. My mom said I had to pay rent to stay with her, so I got a job at the gas station. But after living a high life as a teenager, it was hard to work as a cashier and stock shelves. One day I talked with my social worker and she told me she had closed my file. That means she was free to give me my dad's contact info. So I called him up and found out he was living about 5 hours away. "Prepare your stuff. I'm going to get you," he told me. I thought, now I have a family. My dad wants to see me. He came and got me, and I moved in with him and my brother. We'd eat breakfast every morning and watch hockey together. But I realized my dad is chill with me and he gives me love. He's not a real dad. He was more of a friend than a dad. The thing was, I didn't want a friend. I wanted a dad. So one day, I just decided to live alone. During this time, I had a kid with my best friend. I think, fuck, I'm not ready for this. I'm a bad guy, man. So, the fuck, man? It's not a good idea. The other way, I think, maybe this baby changed my life. I have a bad story for my childhood, but with this kid, maybe there's a new good life for me, and for this kid too, you know? Because I like kids. I like old people too. Fuck, I'm not a violent person who will beat up the kids and the old guys, you know? It was a good influence for me to be a dad. I'd started to work with my brother because I realized he was a big drug dealer. One time, I remember seeing a 5-foot-high stack of weed. I saw my brother as a god, and I worked for him a long time. I felt like he kept giving the big jobs and responsibility to other people, but not to his own brother. He kept promising me things, but I always felt like he just gives me the crumbs, but I wanted a piece of the bread.
He was a career criminal. He did some really horrible things. Does he deserve to live in peace in the middle of wilderness and live off the grid?
I mean, that's a really good question. And I think that everyone that listens to this will have to make that decision for themselves. In our society, we do have a justice system that's meant to hold people accountable, but a lot of the principles of our justice system are based, or at least supposed to be based, on rehabilitation and trying to change people's behavior and their practices to give them a second chance and bring them more in line with what we'd like to see out of average members of society. And I think you get that with this guy, where you can see he is embarking on his own kind of rehabilitation project, and it seems to be working.
How do we know it's working? I mean, he's living in a manufactured environment where there are no temptations. I mean, he does say in his, when he went back into the world, it kept drawing him back in, and temptations were around. He found it hard to resist.
Yeah, and I think that that's going to be part of the struggle for the rest of his life. It's probably easy to drift back into that.
Part 4. I'd heard that the local branch of the Mongols Motorcycle Club was looking for new members. I think maybe it's a good idea for money or whatever. I want to listen to the proposition. I was called to a fancy dinner with a bunch of other young guys. A man with a motorcycle vest arrived and asked for an expensive bottle of wine. He told us they wanted more recruits for their war with the Hells Angels. I told him I wasn't interested in the school. I wanted to become a full member. He said because of my experience, I could have a full patch after 1 month. He promised me a lot of responsibility. I thought it was a good idea, so I said yes. It was a very fast process, and soon enough, I was able to find my own prospects. For my first job, I was sent to deal with a guy who wanted to quit the club. He still had a couple things: jacket, toque with the logo. He still had a debt of $2,500. I was given carte blanche. I knew I was given this job to test my leadership. So I go to see this guy 2 times first just to talk. He gave me the toque, the jacket, and the helmet. But he didn't want to pay. The 3rd time, he said no 2 times. So I punched the guy right on the face. And my knuckle stuck on the teeth. The fucking knuckle stuck on the mouth. I think it's funny, a little bit. And this guy just runs fucking fast with his arm in the air like that. Yeah! Actually, I like this part of my life because the patch and the vest give me a lot of things. The girls, cocaine, good times. Always we go at the bar and the bar is closed and the boss of the bar opens the bar for me, talk for a couple minutes with us. Many times with the vest, the people are just cool with you. For real, I like that. Who doesn't like that anyway? People who see the TV show Sons of Anarchy like the bikers. Because this TV show is awesome. So the people think, oh, it's the same shit, but not really. But for the girls, this shit work. This shit work. The TV show is a bit romanticized. The real life is not the same shit. A couple situation in this TV show, yeah. But the reality, maybe not, man. Because anyway, not all the bikers are the beautiful young guys with baby face and whatever. Maybe times the motorcycle member is a big guy with many hair all over the body. So it's not the same situation, I think. Every Sunday, we'd have a Sunday fun day. It's a big party with family, balloons, barbecue. Good times for real. I think it's a good part of this organization because for real, you feel like I have a brotherhood. I have a real family. But I think this shit exists not to catch you like a fish. Maybe it's a part real and a part fake too, you know, at the same time. Because I'm not stupid. We had bike runs with 5,000 motorcycles. This shit is cool. You feel free, man. You feel free. Bike tricks are nice. In French, it's bitch the club. I think the cops were afraid of us. I remember a time when we were riding and saw a police car at the lights. He followed us maybe a couple kilometers, and then after we waved at them, like, follow me, follow me. He just turned his light off and drove away. I think this cop didn't want to follow us, because we go to the direction of the bush. The creepy place. One time, a guy stabbed me and shot me. Nobody came to see me, you know? Just the prospect and just one friend. Many clients for my weed or drugs or whatever just pick up the drugs, drop the cash and bye-bye. It's hard for me because I sleep on the bed maybe 6 months and eat junk food. This part's fucking hard. Where is the brotherhood, you know? All the time I pay for the pizza and Tim Hortons or whatever. At the end of the bar, I invite all the people around me. Yo, you want to go to an after party, man? Sometimes all the bar come with me. All the time I have the cops knock on my door to give me a ticket. One time, $1,000. He said to me, the next time you go to jail for the night. Okay, man, relax. One time, I rented the presidential loft at the top of the casino. It's fucking nice, man. 2 bathrooms, 2 fucking big rooms, a big place with many couches. A fucking nice place. You see all the town. And we make a fucking party. Oh yeah, fucking nice. Maybe I snowed 3 grams of cocaine and the girls take off their clothes. And this piece of me don't want to get up, so I take maybe 2 or 3 Viagra. Maybe 2 hours later, this shit want to get up. My friend said to me, yo, you snooze many cocaine. You eat Viagra. So maybe you die, by the way. So I say, are you serious? Fuck yeah, because the cocaine and the Viagra are the same fucking things for your heart. Maybe you'll have a heart attack and you'll die. He said that to me. Well, I'm alive, so I think I'm okay. A good night. A fucking good night. Yo, it's a little bit sketchy because I invite more bitches and a couple guys calls for the bitches and whatever. And a couple personal friends come to this party. And the girls lick the pussy of the other girls and me I lick the ass of this girl. My friend just comes beside me. Oh shit, what's up, bro? I don't have saliva. Help me. He just spit on the ass of the girl and I say, yo, you awesome, bro. So it's a little bit sketchy, you know? Big night, yeah. I scooped my friend with a spoon full of cocaine. He fucked the wife on the bath with the other girls. I just say, stop moving, the cocaine. So he snows and we start. Fucking awesome night. Laughing night. And all this night the floor under, a family was sleeping. They heard us all the night. A little bit nasty for the kid, I think. My recruiter one day gave me a job. He said it was a personal job. Actually, he disrespected the club. This guy said, fuck the Mongols, and whatever things like that. He said to me, go to see this guy, and this time, fuck this guy. He gave me a little double-barreled shotgun. He said to me, do whatever you want. So I went with 2 other guys in the car and I put the double barrel on the window. My friend said to me, maybe it's a good idea for the guys to go with the truck to shoot the door. Me, I think it's a better idea to put the hood up with the emergency lights and maybe this guy stops the car and go to find out what's the problem. I would fight the guy and he will fall to the floor and I jump on his face. But never the guys comes. Maybe 4 hours later, I just pick up the double barrel and I shoot the window and the front of the door. And fucking many lights. The dogs barked. Many lights around the neighborhood turn on. So we run. I think the message got through. All my life I have overrage inside. So many times I get this kind of jobs at the bar or wherever. I do the jobs because I like to get out the rage. J'ai vidé ma rage. Now I live my life in calm and peace. And I prefer this. But I remember that life. Now nobody fuck with me. And nobody judge me, for real. I help all the people and I work hard. The people ask me, Why I quit? Because there was a lot of cash and a lot of action. But now I prefer this life because nobody tries to kill me. I sleep last week or the week before. For the first time, I don't lock my door. And I sleep all the night. The first 3 weeks I lived here, I had 2 or 3 arms on me, a knife, a machete, or whatever. Now I have nothing. It's different. It's a new life. I don't think I'm a bad person. I think good people are able to do bad things. You don't have to be a bad person to kill someone. Animals do this. I never felt bad because of something I did. I'm not a psychopath. I just respect my choice. If I choose to do something, I respect my choice. If you don't want the other guys to step on you, you have to be hard. You have to protect your place. If you drop a leaf, they will find it. Always you watch, because you're never totally safe. If you see Hell's Angels, you attack them and you take their vest. That's how they feel about you too.
Growing up, I always shook my head at kids who would wear big brand names emblazoned across their chest. In fact, it seemed like that's all anyone was wearing. I didn't want to advertise a company that I didn't agree with. But there weren't many other options. Back then, ethical clothing was pretty hard to come by, especially if you were from a small town. Today, it's still pretty difficult, and even when you shop at independent clothing stores, you'd be hard-pressed to find items that don't have a big company logo splashed all over. It may not be the Tommy Hilfiger, Bum Equipment, or Bugle Boy that I remember from my school days, but you still got the Volcom, Ruka, Crooks and Castles, or whatever. I know Carla has put a lot of effort into not only living her brand principles out through how she operates her company, but you can actually find clothing where the designs are front and center, not the company name. I hope you'll like what you find because we've got a ton of different options, so you can look for that unique piece that fits your fashion sense and take a picture of yourself wearing our gear and post it up on the Facebook page, and you could win a prize. Okay, now back to the show.
Part 5. As I got higher up, things started to get more stressful. I'm loyal, but I don't want to sleep with my gun under my pillow, always looking behind my back. It became like bad moment after bad moment after bad moment. After a shift as a bouncer at the nightclub, I stopped to buy a Tim Hortons. I was drunk and wanted to get some chili and a cup of coffee. I eat a little bit and I drink a little bit my coffee. I decided to go home and watch a movie. Suddenly, a guy with a bandana covering his face turned around and stabbed me 4 times. It was impossible to push this guy away, so I grabbed the hand with a knife. I say, "You wanna play?" and stabbed the guy in the cheek. The guy fucking ran away. All through the situation, the guy said nothing. No noise, no voice, no scream. Nothing. Never. So fucking creepy. This guy stabbed me and said nothing. I woke up my roommate and said, "Put your finger in my hole." He started laughing. "I'm not going to put nothing in your hole." I looked for a needle and treat everywhere, but I couldn't find anything. I put alcohol on the wounds and heated up a butter knife on the stove and melted the skin to patch the holes. I had to do the same thing a year later, and you feel nothing. It's crazy, man. You feel nothing for this. By the way, I never spilled my chili or my coffee the whole time. From then on, I always wore my bulletproof vest and carried a knife or a gun. There was always some drama, like prospects causing problems with the Hells Angels, unnecessarily, or just stupid situations. It was my job to deal with this. I hate that. It was great for a short time, but eventually I realized that people just don't care. The people around me were like coyotes and wolves. They just want power. Always people want war and dumb moves. I never wanted to be at war with the Hells Angels, because I knew they were people just like me. But when you receive an order, you go. We beat up many of their prospects and go into fights in back alleys. Sometimes we will break down a door, throw fire inside and ride away. Maybe 9 months ago, I was smashed beside the eye with a hammer. One time, a guy fired at me with a shotgun. I was hit, but luckily my bulletproof vest stopped the spray. The policeman told me 2 feet closer and it would have passed through your vest. 2 feet back, the spray will have covered your arms and your face, so you die. One day you realize, I'm not happy with this. It's not nice. It's nice for a short time, but I don't have family anymore. People don't care about you anyways. All people care about is your coke, cash, and whatever you have. But after, they don't care. So many people have tried to kill me. I just want to try another way.
Well, how long has he been in this new lifestyle? When did he leave the gang life?
Well, it's been over the past year, so it is quite fresh. I think that's the most interesting time because they encounter their first struggles. They have to make a new sort of friend. This individual, he has a group of people that seem to be supporting him. He's really taking on some pretty grunt labor type tasks and trying to teach himself from the ground up.
Does he still see his one child?
He's not able to visit his child yet, but he's hopeful that'll happen in the future. They live in different parts of the country, but he hopes with a little bit of effort on his part and a little bit of goodwill to others, and if he just maintains his path in life, that he'll be able to be reunited with his child.
And what does he look like physically?
Well, I wouldn't want to say too much to identify him, but I will say that when I found out he was a motorcycle gangster in his previous life, it wasn't a big surprise. He did show me the tattoos. He can come across as intimidating, although now he comes across more as a gentle giant.
If you saw him on the street, would he make you nervous?
If I saw him in a dark alleyway in an urban center, I'd probably be shaking in my boots. I'll say that much.
I mean, if you look at his, I guess his history, it's got everything in it, from crime, violence, human trafficking, drugs. I mean, it's pretty full. So for him to have found some peace with his past, which he says many times he's found peace with his past, that he doesn't beat himself up over what he did before, and he just focuses on the present. How is he able to do that? How does he keep his anger at bay? Because obviously he was a person that had huge anger issues.
Well, I think you find that with a lot of the stories that you've been telling, Carla. When you speak to people who have been involved in some type of criminal enterprise, or they're victims who have gone through a traumatic experience, a lot of the solace that they receive is when they connect with some type of a community, or when they actually start to feel love from fellow human beings. And that's what struck me about this story, is that from the youngest ages, this individual, he had trouble discovering that in his own life. You know, his mom was a stripper. He was going through the government foster care system that really let him down time and time again. And from then on in, he was hoping to find that in the gang life. That didn't happen. But now he's actually finding a modicum of family in his new life. And I think it's not hard to imagine how much peace that can bring someone. And I was just really happy to see that before my eyes in a very honest and genuine way. And now it's up to him what he's going to do with it.
Part 6. I decided to quit the club. I've lived this hard life, this bad life. The truth is, many times this life is nice, but it's always the same result. You die or you go to jail. You think maybe you'll win and finish rich, but you don't win all the time. Are you ready to see many people die? Are you ready to kill people? You're not the Godfather. You're not Pablo Escobar. You'll always be working for someone. If you want to be a real boss, you have to be willing to kill your own family. The real boss doesn't give a fuck about his family. This shit is crazy, but it's true. That's why they're untouchable. It's only you and your cash. People talk to me many times about British Columbia in Western Canada. My plan was to go there, have a big party and destroy myself. But when I went, I found a place with a lot of great people with nice stories. I was in my trailer playing Russian roulette with my gun, thinking about how I'm a terrible father. A girl I had just met came in, tried to slap my face. She told me to put the gun away. Here I found many amazing travelers like this. Everyone has inspiring stories. This place doesn't judge me. It's another reality. It's possible. And just so you know, you don't have to be in a gang to still have bitches and threesomes. It's really possible. I don't want to die alone and nobody cries for me. I don't want to leave this world without getting to know my daughter. I want a real family, and I want real friends. I never tried this life before. I want to live like a new person. It's not easy. I'm learning how to control my anger. Maybe I have a new chance. Maybe one day my daughter will come here and see my new life. And maybe she'll like it. And maybe she won't judge me. Because before this place, my daughter knows me. Maybe she's like me because I'm the father. She's like me, but I'm a garbage man, a drug dealer or whatever. Maybe she thinks, oh, my dad is cool with many tattoos or whatever, but it's not real. Maybe my daughter doesn't like me. Now maybe I'm a new person, but maybe I'm the real person inside me, you know? I think here I'm the real version of me, you know? So one day my daughter sees that, and the baby mama sees that too, sees I've changed. Maybe she pushes my daughter a little bit. Maybe it's a good idea to know your real dad. For me, I hate myself, and I don't care, because people haven't cared about me. Now I have a new thing. Maybe I like the life. Before this, I don't like the life, because I don't like nobody or nothing, for real. Here I learn. J'apprends à vivre. I learn to live. But it's hard, for real. If I hear one thing bad, I want to punch this guy. I just control myself, you know? Sometimes this life is difficult because I'm not used to that. I never felt that. But sometimes I sit on the floor and watch the sky. And I watch the nature. And I like that. It's so beautiful. This shit makes a smile on my face for nothing. Honestly, for real, if you have a family or friends or people like you, never go this way. If you have no family or no friends or no people like you, it's still not a good reason to go this way. Just patience. Just fucking wait. Because the life is good, man, for real. Just go another place. You don't have family or friends or whatever what? Just go, man. Travel, man. Fuck. Find your happiness. Find your light. Because the criminal life is nice for a short time. After you die or you go to jail, so it's really true. As a young guy, many older guys told me that. I wasn't stupid. Maybe that guy have a point. Maybe it's true, man. Okay, maybe I don't have family. Maybe I don't have friends. But I have fucking 2 legs and 2 arms. I just fucking move another way. And I found a place where people love me and, you know, maybe another place is good for me. Maybe not here, but another place, yeah. Sometimes the criminal life is nice, but not all the time, for real. You put all the good things and the bad things of the criminal life on the scale. The bad things is overload, man. Overload, for real. You can live softly. I live in a cabin now, and I drink my tea or coffee, and I read a book, man. I read a book. I even impress myself, you know. I read a fucking book, and I like that. I hear the rain tap on the roof, and I like that. This life is simple, but I like this. Never as a young guy did I think one day I'd like this. Fuck, man. Impossible. That's it.
Thanks so much for listening to our show. A huge thank you has to go out to our motorcycle gangster who was willing to share his experiences with us. And I think he learned a lot through doing this podcast. I know he picked up a little bit of English along the way. Thanks to Bernardo de la Torre for some original compositions. I had a chance to put some original music into the piece as well, and you can go onto our website to get in touch with who made what. And I have to say, Mark Oliver did a really amazing job of voicing the character, don't you think? Pretty realistic. By the way, we'd love to hear your thoughts, so head on over to our Facebook page and post your responses. Were there any memories or personal experiences the podcast brought to mind? And, of course, you can always check out our socially conscious apparel at standupspeakupfashion.com. But now, it's time for our Song of the Week. We've selected an introspective effort by an LA musician named DJ Philosophy, who recently moved to British Columbia himself. I absolutely love how the sample in this fluid ambient electronic track kind of mirrors the journey of our ex-biker. So just kick back, take it in, but stick around, because once it's done, Carla will be back with some extremely personal poetry of her own. Glad you could join us, and stay tuned, because we got some great investigations and interviews lined up for the weeks to come. Peace.
He receives his enlightenment by going off into the forest to be completely alone. In other words, underground solitaries. Gone away into the forest to find out who he really is. Because it's very difficult to find that out while you're with other people. The reason is that other people are busy all the time telling you who you are. Gone away into the forest to find out who he really is. Gone away into the forest to find out who he really is. Gone away into the forest to find out who he really is. Gone away into the forest to find out who he really is. Find out who you are, who you are. Find out who you are, who you really are. Find out who you are. You have to go for yourself. Find out who you are, who you are. Find out who you are, who you really are. Find out who you are. You have to go for yourself. Stop talking, stop thinking words, and be absolutely alone. Stop talking, stop thinking, stop words, and be absolutely alone. 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 If you want to find out who you really are, you have to go off by yourself. Have to go off by yourself. Listen to the great silences. Great silences. Listen to the great silences. Great silences. And then, if you're lucky, you recover from the illusion. And then, if you're lucky, you recover from the illusion that you're just the little me, the so-and-so, and you attain the state of nirvana, the state of nirvana, and you attain the state of nirvana. Find out who you are, who you are. Find out who you are, who you really are. Find out who you are,
many of you know who tune into my podcast that I'm an advocate for foster care change. And I believe that the kids that fall through the cracks, such as our motorcycle story, just doesn't need to happen. The system should be structured better and learn from these stories and improve so no child has to go through what he went through. And I was talking to my mom about it, just saying how I didn't realize how lucky I was to grow up in a supportive, loving family and parents who taught me right from wrong and believed in me and gave me tough love, but with always the condition that I know they loved me and they had my back and they would always be supportive in my life choices. Assuming, of course, they were responsible life choices. And my mom said that she used to always read this poem when she was about to murder her four kids, my siblings, and that she would always say that she will never end up in an insane asylum. It'll be us that end up there because she's not going to let us drive her crazy. But she said she would read this all the time to just remember the importance of parenting. And I thought I'd read it because I thought it was really powerful, and it really kind of stuck with me as something probably I need to remind myself as a parent of currently a 16-year-old who's amazing, but he's just learning and growing into who he's going to become, and my role as a parent is to support that process. But the poem is called Children Learn What They Live by Dorothy Law Nolte. If children live with criticism, they learn to condemn. If children live with hostility, they learn to fight. If children live with fear, they learn to be apprehensive. If children live with pity, then they learn to feel sorry for themselves. If children live with ridicule, they learn to feel shy. If children live with jealousy, they learn to feel envy. If children live with shame, they learn to feel guilty. If children live with encouragement, they learn confidence. If children live with tolerance, they learn patience. If children live with praise, they learn appreciation. If children live with acceptance, they learn to love. If children live with approval, they learn to like themselves. If children live with recognition, they learn it is good to have a goal. If children live with sharing, they learn generosity. If children live with honesty, they learn truthfulness. If children live with fairness, they learn justice. If children live with kindness and consideration, they learn respect. If children live with security, they learn to have faith in themselves and in those about them. If children live with friendliness, they learn the world is a nice place in which to live. Thanks for tuning in. This is Carla Stevens Tolstoy at Stand Up, Speak Up.